Claudia Sheinbaum came out and encouraged more protests in LA, and I condemn her for that. She should not be encouraging violent protests that are going on. If people are allowed to peacefully protest, but the violence that we're seeing is not acceptable and it's not going to happen in America.
We do not agree with violent actions as a form of protest. The burning of patrol cars seems more like an act of provocation than of resistance. Let it be clear. We condemn violence wherever it comes from. We call on the Mexican community to act peacefully and not fall for provocations.
Response to Mexican President Sheinbaum, who condemned the violence there. Have you been in touch with her at all?
Said what?
I was wondering if you had any response to what Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum said in response.
What did she say?
She condemned the violence in LA.
Oh, I do too.
Yeah. Have you been in touch with her at all?
Well, you think I don't condemn it? I condemn the violence in LA, ladies and gentlemen, but I also stopped the violence in LA. And by doing what I did, I stopped the violence in LA. That would have been, I think, maybe I'd ask Kristi to speak to that. That would have been an unbelievable tragedy. We would be talking, I don't know that would even be here right now. It would have been so bad. I'd probably maybe be out there. I don't know, but Kristi, could you speak to that?
Absolutely. So in 2020, I was a governor of a neighboring state to Tim Walz and watched him let his city burn. And the president and I have talked about this in the past, and he was not going to let that happen to another city and to another community where a bad governor made a bad decision. So Claudia Sheinbaum came out and encouraged more protests in LA, and I condemn her for that. She should not be encouraging violent protests that are going on. If people are allowed to peacefully protest, but the violence that we're seeing is not acceptable and it's not going to happen in America. This president is standing up for the average American who wants to walk their child to school every day safely, run their small business, and provide for their families. That's the action that he's taken. He has every authority under the Constitution to send these National Guard under Title X into these communities and make sure that operations go smoothly, that law enforcement officers are protected, that they can continue to do their work without fear of being injured or killed or disrespected, and that they can go home to their families at night. So I'm incredibly proud of the president for activating the National Guard and for sending in these Marines, because these Marines are specifically trained to meet the need that we have on the ground in LA right now. And Governor Newsom has done a disservice to the state of California for many years. The people there should never elect him into a leadership position ever again.
The governor's a nice guy, but he's grossly incompetent. When it comes to his railroad that he's building, where it's like 30 times over budget, nobody's ever seen anything like it. Now it doesn't even go to San Francisco and LA. It's way short of it. After years of work and overruns like nobody's, those contractors are some of the wealthiest people in the world, I guarantee you that, because that money goes to those contractors. They just did a number on the wallet of the people of California. That train, you should look at that train. That is the greatest. I've never seen cost overruns. I've seen cost overruns and great incompetence over my life. I've never seen anything like that.
Mr. President, these protests obviously started in reaction to these large-scale ICE operations in Los Angeles. Should people expect to see similar operations in the rest of the country? Yeah. And will similar protests see similar response?
As you know, we're moving murderers out of our country that were put here by Biden or the auto pen. The auto pen really did. I mean, the people, whether it's Lisa Monaco or whoever operated the auto pen, these are criminals. The people are criminals that allowed these criminals into our country. And I don't think that Biden knew what the hell he was doing. I don't think he even knew about it. But when they opened up our borders for the whole world to come in, yeah, we're going to get them out. We're getting them out. We're starting to get acknowledgement from the courts that, you know, there's a system. They come in without courts and they go out, they want trials and everything else. I think that's starting to work out now. Judges are starting to see what a terrible situation it is. Many of those people that you saw on television last night are criminals that were allowed into our country by Biden, and they want to stay, and we don't want them. And they come from jails, and they come from mental institutions, and they come from all over the world, not just South America. And we're not going to let them stay. And this is the first, perhaps, of many, or perhaps, if we didn't attack this one very strongly, you'd have them all over the country. But I can inform the rest of the country that when they do it, if they do it, they're going to be met with equal or greater force than we met right here. We did a great job. The people, you, Kristi, and Tom Homan, and all of the people, Pete Hegseth, all of the people involved did an amazing job. We stopped a disaster. And it looks like a planned disaster, this didn't just happen. They had weapons, they had tools, they had everything you needed. I mean, they were throwing iced water in bottles, in glass bottles, at officers and at soldiers. These are, you could not use the word insurrection, but you could also use the word, these are very dangerous people, they're bad people. They were met with heavy force and they folded. And they may be there a little bit tonight, they may be there a little bit, but it seems to be getting less and less because they're going there and they're met with a very heavy force. And if they weren't, you would have that city right now would be on fire. It would be burning down. The rest of it, what's left over, because the other fire was started because they wouldn't allow water into LA. They wouldn't allow water into California because they had it all shifted out to the Pacific Ocean. And I turned it around. And I told them to do it in my first term, and they didn't do it. We had COVID, and they didn't do it. And I told them to do it. We did it in the second. Now we have billions of gallons of water flowing down. But Newsom should have done this. He's an incompetent man, an incompetent governor.
We do not agree with violent actions as a form of protest. The burning of patrol cars seems more like an act of provocation than of resistance. Let it be clear. We condemn violence wherever it comes from. We call on the Mexican community to act peacefully and not fall for provocations. Mexican men and women living in the United States are hardworking, honest people. The vast majority of those without documents, the vast majority of those in the United States have work permits or are U.S. citizens.
Up to this moment, the most recent count we have is 42 compatriots who are detained in these 4 centers, 37 men and 5 women. We now have a fully updated and completely refreshed database where we have all the information for each of them, including the names of their family members.